Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I want to welcome you to our regular weekly webinar. And a special welcome for new people. You can see the title, Your Weekly Trading Plan, and that's pretty much what we do here. We try to create a plan, a structure, maybe a more organized way of trading. And as you know, not just in trading, in anything in life, planning can actually increase the results. Definitely not guaranteed, but it just removes chaotic way of trading. And as traders like to say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. This way, it's a little bit better than just trading spontaneously without any plan at all. A few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman, Senior Account Manager with AvaTrade. June 1st will be 23 years actually since I quit my job and I went to be a trader. I was a proprietary trader back in New York City in 2 or 3 firms, I think 3 firms. I worked in for a total of 11 years as a licensed proprietary trader. There was day trading, pretty intense way of trading, and after 11 years, I stopped that and I moved to a more calm way of trading and started to mentor and educate other traders. And currently, I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to work with customers at AvaTrade and try to assist them with their trading. The agenda of the webinar, it's pretty much the same we do every week. We talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. Before that, we try to discuss the big picture, things that happened in the past week and things that are upcoming. Risk warning, you can find the full document at avatrade.com. What we do here, it's purely educational. We do not suggest any trades, of course. These are the channels that I highly recommend for you to use. You have Telegram, you have Twitter, and my favorite YouTube channel. And here you can find a lot of educational material, tutorials. Most of the webinars are being recorded and posted there. So if you missed any of the webinars, you can always look it up on YouTube and watch it at your convenient time. It's a great source of information and education. Okay, so let's start with the economic calendar, and then we'll go in and try to analyze things that did happen and things that might happen. So just before we go into specifics, just to remind everyone that economic calendar is kind of important, and traders like to know that certain things are happening, whether they use this information or they just prepare themselves for certain events. It is important. And here, what I do, I take out the high impact events, as you could see here in red. They're definitely more. You can filter them. You can focus on specific countries or anything else. You can filter them, as I said. You can find them on our web trader or the app or any financial sites. It's public information. Everybody's posting the same thing. It looks a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same details. And as I always say, even if you knew exactly what the numbers are coming out, it's hard to make up what the market exactly will be doing. But it's good to know. It's good to be prepared. You don't get caught by surprise. You can make a decision whether to participate in trading before the numbers, during the numbers, after the numbers. Depends on the style. I know some people wait till things settle and then choose direction of the trades. I also know traders that are really waiting for these specific numbers, something like NFPs or interest rate decisions, the high impact events, and they trade actually during the announcements. And that's the time of the high volatility, and that's their strategy. So everybody should find the way of trading around these numbers based on what the strategy is, what the approach to trading is, and definitely what their risk level is. So let's just go through it really quick. Like I said, I just chose the high impact events. There are much more. You have monetary policy report hearing on Monday from UK. Tuesday, As a lot of announcement. You have RBA meeting minutes from Australia, retail sales from China, employment data from UK, GDP numbers from European Union, retail sales from US, very important number. We have CPI numbers from Canada and GDP numbers from Japan. That's on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have the Governor of Bank of England speaking. Thursday, we have employment data from Australia and budget release from New Zealand. And Friday, retail sales from Canada. So again, you can look it up. You can prepare yourself, put reminders if that's something that will be affecting your trading. Okay, as always, I try to prepare a few screenshots that kind of reflect what's happening. And if you're following any kind of financial news, I'm sure you've been hearing this for at least a week or two, that we're getting closer to the deadline. And the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, she is actually warning that the kind of X date or the final day to solve this issue is June 1st, and the politics or the politicians in the US, they're still struggling to come up with a solution. And also some analysts are comparing current situation to the year 2011, when there was a similar issue and there was a big stress. The markets really sold on the fears of default of the US government. I think at that time, the market or the S&Ps fell about 20% from May to October, if I'm not mistaken. So they talk about it. So they kind of create similarity of the current situation. And we'll see as we're getting closer. We 2 weeks away, about 2 weeks away from that deadline. Let's see if they manage to find a solution and extend the ceiling or not. And this is also interesting. Tesla, of course, it will be affecting Tesla stock. Musk finally announced that he's hiring the CEO for the Twitter, and he announced that it will be she, and then he announced the name of the person. And I'm just going to read right here what they say. The CEO tweeted on Friday that Linda Yaccarino, if I don't know if I'm pronouncing right, the former head of advertising at NBC Universal, will take the top job, following up on the post Thursday saying he had found successor but without giving a name. So he announced that on Thursday, but then on Friday he announced her name. And NBC Universal actually confirmed that Linda, again the last name Yaccarino, I believe, she's leaving the company and will be taking the position at Tesla. So just logically speaking, since the whole story with Twitter started, Tesla stock suffered, first of all, because it was spending on purchasing the company. And then he was pretty much running since the taking over of Twitter. He was running two companies besides other things, Tesla and Twitter. So now he will be a regular CEO taking care of the business. So logically speaking, as I said, it could be good for Tesla, that the investors kind of happy that finally he goes back into doing what's important, and that's running the Tesla company. So let's see how that works. We're going to take a look at the chart when we get to the stocks. Okay, now another thing that did happen, we had, of course, the week of CPI and PPI numbers. The market reacted mixed. First it went up, then went down. Then on Friday, there was a sell-off on the market, and a lot of it to do with the consumer sentiment, and it actually fell to 57.7%, is a 9% drop from the previous number. So it doesn't look so good. The consumers are not so excited going forward. And also there are some inflation expectations for the year ahead declined from 4.6% to 4.5%, which is a good thing. But the long-term inflation expectation rose to 3.2% from 3%, the highest level since 2011. Interesting. They also mentioned here 2011. As I said, they mentioned this year in regards to the debt ceiling issue. So again, we'll take a look at the charts in a moment, and we'll see what the markets were doing, and try to discuss certain things. So let's move now to the MT4, and then we start with indices. And I would like to start with China, as I usually do, not all the time, but in this case, it makes sense here. China index has been selling. And first thing we're looking at, okay, how low can it go from here? And if you take a look at the weekly chart, it looks really good. We trade here a very tight range between 13,300. Like I mentioned this number to you a few times, and now it's the low range of it. It's 12,852.5. Just measured it by the recent supports that we had. There was a resistance here where we hit it a few times here on the support level, here again and here again. So we are possibly approaching that level again, and see if we manage to hold it. And if we don't, we might dip below and be on the way to retest lower levels. And if we do hold this level, that we're clearly in the channel, like we were here, and we're still in the same channel. Like I said, about roughly 450, 500 points. And let's see what's now with the China being moving to the downside. As you know, I usually bring a few instruments to take a look at. That's crude oil and copper. First of all, on commodities, as you could see, copper reacted to it strongly to the downside, as there's a big correlation, as China is a big user, let's put it that way, of copper, and also it's the big user of crude oil. As you could see here, we mentioned the 73 in the last meeting, I believe. We hit that level and then we sold. We're back to 70, so it's a $3 range that we kind of trading in. Let's see if we're holding 70. Last week we were as low as 63, 68. So we did fail to move above 73. Now 70 is being tested again, as it did here, and we might continue lower. And on the currency area, we have two currency commodities, as some traders call them. That's Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So those two assets are also selling on the China index selling off. And here's the Australian dollar. As you could see, of course, it's not just the weakness of Australian, but the strength of US dollar. We'll be talking about it when we get to currencies. And New Zealand dollar also is aggressive selling happening here. So that's as far as China. Now, US indices. Just wanted to give you the numbers in general. Dow Jones fell 1.1% for the week. Let's start taking a look at it. This is the weekly chart. Second week in a row after failing to break through resistance, as most of the indices facing the same situation. So Dow Jones down 1.1% on the week. As I mentioned to you, Friday, the consumer sentiment numbers, they were not so great. They pushed the markets lower. So that's Dow Jones. S&P 500 fell 0.2% on the day and 0.3% on the week. And as you could see, similar story. We're really facing this strong resistance here. We're not really falling heavily here, but we are facing resistance, and it goes for a few weeks now. Since the recent attempt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive weeks, we can break that level. And Nasdaq fell 0.4% both on the day and on the week. And we are a little bit higher than the resistance that we set for ourselves here, around 13,310. So if you take out of 3 of them, the weakest one was Dow Jones, and S&P and Nasdaq were down about the same, 0.3 and 0.4%. European indices, let's take a look. Speaking of Europe, congratulations to Sweden. I don't know if any of you watched the final of Eurovision. It's a good event. It brings unity to the world, first of all, in the situation that we're facing in Europe with the war and everything. So it was a tough competition, but Sweden won. A great job. So, and speaking of UK, it took place in Liverpool, the event. So if you take a look at weekly chart, we had a few weeks of nice run, and this is the 3rd consecutive week that we finished in red, sitting on the daily chart right on the 50 and 100 moving average. DAX. Also, after this recent move, DAX is not really selling. It's not running higher, and it is sitting at the resistance levels. So I guess this week we will be hearing things. And as you know, in this global economy, US is kind of a leader. So the whole attention, like we spoke, all attention is what's going to be with debt ceiling. Will they resolve the issue, or are we really facing that default of the US government? And definitely it's not good for the stock. Like I mentioned, in 2011, where it was a similar situation, the stock market fell, and they found the bottom in the month of October after losing about 20%. So we might be seeing the same thing. So I guess Europe is just waiting what's happening in US. French index, the same thing, was sitting on the support that was a resistance until recent. Let's take a look at Indian index. Nice recovery after the sell-off, and we are finding new resistance around 18,300. We tried to break above it, and we came right in. So the indices, said, they all kind of sitting around the resistance level, and focusing on the issues in the US. I guess we'll be seeing or hearing new details. And we're still in the US, we're still in the earnings season. So we'll be talking about stocks in a few minutes. I'll mention a few stocks to you. I did our reporting. Okay, we're gonna move to stocks now. And as I said, we spoke about Tesla, that Musk appointing the CEO. So it could be potentially good for Tesla stock. Stock sold on Friday. It's sold on a few things. One of them, they're raising the prices. So, and in general, market sold on Friday. So let's see how this new development with the new CEO of Twitter, kind of doing the job of Musk, will kind of release him from these duties and focusing more on Tesla. So we could see potentially positive things for Tesla, or not. Let's see what happens there. So that's as far as Tesla. Disney, on Thursday, the stock went down 9% after the earnings, and as you could see here, the stock kept down pre-market hours and just continued lower. And the key levels here, it's $90, and let's see if we really hold it there. And if you take a look at the monthly chart, it's been after this recent sell-off that started in March 2 years ago, right? We tried to bounce, and there was a story with the old CEO coming back and being in charge. It was kind of hopeful for the company. Then we went down, and this last month has been terrible for the stock, and we're approaching around $90. Let's see if that holds. And the whole idea is the streaming business, and the Disney Plus was not reporting such a great picture there. And let's take a look at Netflix already, how Netflix reacted to it, as pretty much the same kind of industry. And speaking of Netflix, they just announced they're gonna cut expenses of 300 million just to increase the profits. The stock's been bouncing here since the recent sell-off, and we're trying to move high over here. That's the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we are finding support around 50 and 100 moving average. And if the stock continues to the upside, we want to try to see the 348 area and the actions around there. Again, it depends also what the whole market is doing. So that's Disney and a little bit of Netflix. Google stock, lots of action there. Take a look what happened. Super strong week. 2 days in a row, the stock just totally ignored the weak market. And the reason is the whole AI business, the artificial intelligence. As just want to bring you a few things to show you. This sell-off here happened when the whole AI thing with the chat, AI chat being implemented by Microsoft into the search system, and the analysts kept on saying that Google is behind and they need to catch up and so on. So the stock sold, and then things start getting looking better for the company as they start showing some ideas here. And there was a lot of accumulation and move up. So the CEO was speaking and talking about the AI and how the company is really starting to implement it. And also, I was doing some research, and it said that really something that everybody was expecting, that Bing is going to take away search business from Google, didn't really prove to be true. So the traffic or usage of Google as a search engine stays about the same as it was a year ago. So the stock reacted to the upside. Also, the Oppenheimer kept the outperform rating for Alphabet or for Google, and their target price is $145, which, if you take a look on the weekly chart, it makes sense. That was actually the level of around the level of August, September of 2021. So the stock is really acting strongly after accumulation here for pretty long time, and we'll be watching if that move on Google is sustainable. And as you could see here on the monthly chart, it has all the chances to continue higher. Again, as I always say, it depends on the market. As I like to say, even the strongest stocks sell on the tanking market, and the weak stocks could go also higher on the running up market. So it depends what the Feds are going to be doing, what the US government is going to be doing to solve that issue. We'll be watching that in the upcoming days and weeks. Bank stocks are under the pressure, and a lot to do with debt ceiling, because the banks are the biggest holders of the treasuries that are being issued by the government. So if you take a look on most of them, in the recent days, JP Morgan, after that run up on buying few banks, it is still holding strong, but as you could see, there's some selling going on. Citigroup is selling. Bank of America is super weak here. It tried to bounce, but it's still sitting. Goldman Sachs as well, after recent sell-off, it's not really managing to jump. So, like I said, we're getting closer to the deadline of June 1st, according to Janet Yellen. And if the issue is not solved, some banks, if not all of them, are going to be in trouble because they're holding a lot of those securities, the treasuries, because the idea of that, nobody believes that U.S. government will default, so they consider it to be secure, safe securities, and they make profit by holding them and then getting the money with the premium. So we'll be watching banks as well in the upcoming days and weeks and see what's happening there. Now, as far as the upcoming earnings, we have Walmart and Cisco reporting. Cisco reporting after the market on the 17th. The stock's been selling. We are currently below, touching the 200 moving average. Let's see if the earnings will bring some positivity into the stock. About 45.50, there was a support. As you could see here, resistance, then it turned to support. After that, we made a high. Another one, it came right back to this level again, around 45.60. Let's see if we're holding, and again, let's see what the earnings will bring. And another one with the famous name Walmart is reporting as well, and that's before the market on the following day, on the 18th. The stock is currently at the resistance level, as you could see here, 1, 2, and 3. Here we had a nice try, but came right back and sold. That was back a year ago. And we managed to come back, retest, and fail again. And now we're testing that 153 level again. Let's see what the earnings are. And definitely the stock will be reacting to it. Okay, let's move to commodities. And as I mentioned to you, in regards to China, a few commodities reacted to it, to the weakness of the Chinese economy currently. And that's oil, as we said. We've been selling 3 days in a row. And we're sitting on a 70, kind of a psychological level here. And let's see if we break that level, or we might retest the lows here around $64, $65 that we just reached on the 3rd of May, beginning of May. And another one is copper. As you know, if you're watching this webinar, not the first time, I always mention those two commodities. So here, copper, after facing resistance here again at around 394, we just broke through it, broke through 200 moving average after really sitting on it, as you could see. And that was Thursday, a strong sell-off. And Friday, we tried to bounce, very tiny bounce here. And if you take a look at the weekly chart, we could continue lower, maybe retest weekly 200 moving average. And it all will depend what the equities are doing, especially the Chinese equity market. Gold, on the strong dollar, gold sold this week after the previous week making all-time high again. So on the daily chart, as you could see here, on the 2nd or 3rd of May, we briefly, this was a 5-minute period here, as I showed it to you last week, we hit the all-time high and we just came right back. And the last 3 days of the week, they just ended. We're on the way down. As you remember, the 1988 level was a key level from which, after holding it, we had this run. So we're approaching that level again. Let's see. Dollar strong, we're going to get to $1 in a moment. So that's on gold, and other metals also sold. If you take a look at platinum, it was intense selling going on. Palladium as well, after retesting this recent level here. So metals are down, oil is down, natural gas, very interesting. It's kind of a saga. We're really watching natural gas, and I'm talking about it every week. And something's happening. As you could see, it's been really, if you take a look at the weekly chart, It's clearly here. We're sitting in this tiny range pretty much. Just to remind you, we came here, we hit the low of 211, from which we broke to the previous resistance, made kind of a nice move. We hit the 302, came right back, retested 211, played for a while, went lower, established the new recent low. That was the mid April. We hit 1.945, came back into this tiny channel, tried to run, couldn't, came back, and we are really in a super tight range. I mean, roughly between $2 and $2.25 or $2.30. Friday we tried. Friday actually was a nice day for natural gas. It went up 4%. So let's see if that works. Sometimes traders like to have this Thursday Friday rule. When if Friday closes above Thursday, we might see continuation to the upside, and vice versa if it was the downside. So let's see. Maybe this week, and again we closed above the 50 moving average, and with the channel testing the top of it of 233. The high on Friday was 233 exactly. So this might be it. Again, I could sound a little bit hopeful here, but I know a lot of traders are holding long positions from different levels, and they're kind of anxious to recover some losses. And some people are entering around these levels, also hoping for that move. And again, there's always the opposite scenario. After this few attempts to go higher, we can actually break through the downside and go retest 160, 150 area. Also a possibility. So we'll take one day at a time and see what happens. And that's it with commodities. And let's move to Forex. As I said, dollar index is super strong. As you could see, 2 consecutive days breaking through the last resistance here. We are between the 50 and 100 moving average here. So something that caught my attention is actually USD ZAR. He made a strong move to the upside. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, apologize for that. Here it is. Take a look. Super strong move after we just broke. On the 9th, we broke through the 18.5, and we just kept on going straight, 1, 2, 3, 4 days straight. And take a look where we are in a very strategic level, as I like to call it. Similar thing happened. There was a robust move right here, where I think this was the time of pandemic, yes, where we went and we hit the high on March 28th. That's the week of March 28th, and we hit the high of 1931. Take a look. We just hit it on Friday. We hit even much higher, but we're close on that level. So 2 scenarios. We might confirm this as a strong resistance and build some price action below this level, 1931, and then continue lower to confirm that 1850 became support or break below. Or we might start building up new support above the 1931 and make a continuation. I don't know if that's true. This could be all-time highs that we just actually made this month. 1950, according to this chart. I'm not sure, but if you take monthly chart and just zoom, there's nothing else above. So that's also creates a possibility of continuation, as things in South Africa are not so great economically, and strength of the US dollar is not helping it as well. So we might continue here. Like I said, we're at a very strategic level. We were there 3 years and a month ago. So let's see what happens. Very serious level here for this pair. Now, let's go through majors just really briefly. New Zealand dollar, like we said, it's been selling. We're approaching the 200 moving average. We might actually test that. We spoke about Australian dollar. It's relating to China's weakness. Yen is also getting weaker. I don't know if the strength of a dollar is pushing this pair up. Yen is really in a strange situation. As you know, I mentioned a few times, it's probably the only central bank, a major central bank, that didn't change or increase interest rates. Since most of them did, and they increased tremendously, 4 or 5%, and Japan didn't do it yet. So here, dollar also second consecutive days to the upside. Euro dollar, after really failing to break through this 110 area approximately, we had few attempts. The first one back in February, then April, few of the attempts failed, and we just broke through the 50 moving average on the way to retest the 100 moving average. And if you take the weekly chart, we could be retesting. We closed on Friday 108.49. We could be retesting 108 easily the upcoming week, and then see what happens next. Pound, beautiful trade. If you remember, I mentioned last week the 126.65 was the level of possible selling. And the reason is that I mentioned to you that we sold from this level here, and the high was 126.66. I mentioned to you this level worked very nicely. It touched it a few times on the 8th and on the 10th, failed to go higher, and then we just dropped. And we are facing the support around here, around 124.35, and that's also going to be close to the 50 moving average. Let's see what dollar is doing next. We might hold this level and continue channeling here, or if we break and start building resistance below, we might continue lower and enter into the big channel that were before between 119.39 and 124.35, about 500 pips channel that we had. As you could see, we kept on going up and down. It was a nice heaven for swing traders. So we are again approaching 124.35 level after this scenario that we mentioned worked out nicely. So that's the pound. USD Canadian, a nice move to the upside after recent sell-off. Strength of the US dollar and the weakness of Canadian definitely relating also to the price of crude oil falling. And dollar Swiss finally showing some strength over here. If you take a look at the weekly chart, I mentioned a few times that the dollar was really super weak against the Swiss franc, and it's finally picking up. So here it's also interesting. Maybe we're going to see a reversal if we do break this level around 0.8995 or 0.90, just to bring the even number. If we break through it and start building support, we might continue, and there would be a nice move. It could be kind of a reversal here that can go for a while. Or if we failed, we're going to be channeling again between 188 and 190, 200 pip area around that. So definitely worth watching. And another pair that we mentioned last week, and we've been speaking about it for a few weeks now. It worked out as a buy scenario, and then it sold again. It's Australian or Euro Australian. If you remember, I mentioned to you this level a while ago, 162.24. We were trading a lot. We had a nice move that I mentioned that if we break to the upside, we might continue nicely, and we did actually. That was a tremendous move here, more than 500 pips. and then we came right back. And I mentioned to you last week, when we come to this level, 162.25 again, it might be some buying action. As you could see here, it failed to go lower, and Thursday and Friday it bounced nicely. So it was a profit of about 100 pips here for whoever took chances on that trade. The same thing, it was a risk about 100 pips. It went almost 100 pips lower. Again, the levels are important to know. They don't really work like a wall. Things break through them and come right back. Like here was a lot of actions, a lot of shake up before we made this nice move to the upside. So it worked again. Let's see if this time it will go as high as the last time, but it could move. If it does move or continues moving, it first will retest the 164.32 level kind of, and step by step it might continue higher. So it worked out again. Another one, and the last pair I want to bring up is dollar yen. Sorry, euro yen. And the reason is that this is the monthly chart, and we've been really having a lot of actions around this level that we had back in 2014. As you could see here, back in October last year, we hit the high of 148.39, and that's the level that I marked in red. And take a look on daily chart. We went above that level back in April, made a nice move to the upside. We came back, and then we're trading below. So it's worth watching what's going to happen next. In the weekly chart, it looks like we're back into the channel. So if we do test it again to the upside, 148.35, some sellers might take an opportunity to short here. Again, there's a possibility of it continue lower, as you can see on the monthly chart here. From this level, again, back on 2014, it was a huge sell-off that took a while. So we did climb back to the level. We broke it last month to the upside on the strong candle, and then this month so far we are selling, and we entered into the channel again. So it's worth watching that. And for the last thing, let's take a look at Bitcoin. As normally it's getting weak with the strength of the dollar, which is proves to be true over here. And again, we're trading around 26,000. After, just to remind you, we failed to hold the 30,000. We came back, and we just hit on Friday, I believe we hit the 100 moving average and went as low as 25,805. Let's see again what dollar is doing next. If dollar continues the strength, we might see further weakness in Bitcoin, and vice versa. Okay, so let's just summarize in 2 words what we spoke about. Debt ceiling observation is #1 priority, and we have, according to Janet Yellen, till June 1st for that solution, and if not, it could be a huge issue, including for the markets. We have a strength of a dollar. We had some disappointing numbers in consumer confidence, which affected the market on Friday. It was a sell-off. We have a few companies reporting. That includes Walmart and Cisco. We had a few companies that reported last week. Disney disappointing. Tesla might have some positive actions on the Twitter being run by a new CEO. So Musk is going to be focusing more on Tesla. And that's it pretty much. I want to wish everyone a great weekend. Get some energy, get some power, prepare for the week. And definitely I want to wish everyone a successful trading week. Stay focused, protect your funds, use risk management, and be smart and safe. All the best, guys. We'll be back next week. Take care.